Hi everyone, and welcome back to our 355 Code Intro to JavaScript series. This is the second part of the series. In the first part, we kind of introduced some of the basic concepts in JavaScript. And I also introduced you to this website called Play Code, where we are going to be learning and testing the code that we write. So today I want to start with something that we touched on at the end of last lesson, and that is the alert function. So if you remember or not, the alert function is basically a built-in function in JavaScript which will prompt the browser to give a alert with whatever you tell the alert to say. So let's refresh our memory. To use alert, basically we have to write alert and then open parentheses, right? Because in JavaScript, that is what tells us that it's a function. And inside the parentheses, we will write what we want to what we want to say in the alert. And that is, let's say this is an alert. And let's see, do you remember what we call this green text that's inside the quotation marks? It's called a string. Okay, and that's basically just regular writing, regular words, regular text. So in order to test our code, we'll press this play button, and you see the alert which says this is an alert. Great. So now I want to teach you another useful function that will actually let the user interact with the alert that you give them. Okay, and that's called a prompt. Okay, so it's also a function. We just write prompt, and then in the parentheses, we're gonna also write what we want to display to the person, but then they will have the option to write their own answer. So let's say I want to write, how old are you? Okay, this is what I want them to respond to. And now when I play the code, you'll see it asks how old they are, and they have the option to write in. So I write here 29. Okay. But as you can see, as soon as I answered the question, the prompt disappeared. So how do I actually see what the person wrote? So in order to do this, we're going to do this in two stages. The first is I'm going to teach you about console.log, and the next about how to store it in a variable. So first of all, let's talk about console.log. So console.log, I'm going to erase this for now. Actually, instead of erasing it, I'm going to teach you how to comment something out. Commenting something out basically means that the computer won't read that line of code and won't execute it. So one thing you could do is put just two dashes in front of it, and you see it turns gray. And now you see if I play my code, nothing happens, right? Because it's not reading this line. If you have a lot of code that you want to comment out, you can actually also select it all and then press Control C. Sorry, not Control C, Control Dash. Control C is copy. Control Dash, and that will comment it out on Windows. And now let's talk about console.log. So console.log is basically a way of logging some piece of information in the console. Okay, the console is this area that you can see down here. And in every browser, there's a console as well that we'll see later on in one of the further lessons. And in order to write something in that console, basically, you can console.log and then whatever you want the console to say. So let's say I want to say, this is a log. Okay, and now when I play my code, you see that in the console it says this is a log. So now let's use this in order to see the answer that the person writes in the prompt. So in order to do this, instead of putting this is a log here, I'm actually going to take this prompt and put it in the console.log. So I took my prompt and I copy pasted it into the console.log. So what the computer is basically now is doing is saying, console, whatever is answered when this prompt is showed. So if I play my code now, you will see, how old are you? I write 29. And then the console logs 29. Okay, because this prompt is different than the alert. It's not just telling the browser to show something. This prompt itself is actually the answer to the prompt. I know it might be a little confusing initially, but as we move forward and show you how to store this in a variable, you will understand this a little better. So that is all for our lesson today. We learned three very important things, which is the alert, prompt, sorry about that. Alert, prompt, and console.log. Okay, these are the three things that you should be remembering for today. And you can head over to your own play code now and basically try these three things out. Try writing an alert with text inside and see what happens. Try writing a prompt and answering it, and try logging your prompt with the answer so you can see it in the console. And after you've done all that, you can head over to our next video and learn how to store things in variables. So see you next time.